Good morning. This is the very first English language video that I make, and in it, I would like to compare the roughly 3 years and 8 months that Kamala Harris has been in power as vice president, and uh, President Trump's previous 4 years. I would also like to reach all those people from whichever nation they were originally from, especially those from Mexico and South America, who actually did everything by the book, following the laws, paying however much money and waiting however long in order to be approved to come to the US, become a legal resident, and live amongst us. I would also like to reach out to the Puerto Ricans that, like myself, left the island and moved to a state. I would also like to reach out to millennials and black men and Gen Z males. Why those two in particular? Why black men and not black women? And why Gen Z men? Well, the reason being is that I have lost faith in the fact that black women and Gen Z women will listen to what I have to say, but I would hope that they do. I know that Kamala has been trying to distance herself from what has been going on during her time as vice president, and basically not stay in the light of the media, kind of hiding. And yet she has had big influence in what has been happening during this last 3 years and 8 months of Biden-Harris. As the vice president, she has the deciding vote whenever something is to be passed, and it's 50-50. And during her time, she approved the American Rescue Plan and the I forgot the name of it, but basically some plan to lower inflation, none of which worked. The American Rescue Plan, what it did was basically allow the federal government to print money. When you print money, in this case, trillions of dollars, and this happened early on Biden's Harris term in 2021. When you print money, what you're doing is you are devaluing the dollar. You are causing inflation. This inflation has been steady throughout the Biden-Harris administration, and it is thanks to Harris's deciding vote, to allow the federal government to print out money. Basically, it was supposed to allegedly help out, boost the economy during the 2021 lockdowns that, by the way, were actually being kept by Democrat governors. So it was, in reality, it was an unnecessary action that was taken, both by the governors to keep the lockdowns going, and because of this, having the federal government print out money. The tax reduction plan also didn't help. It actually increased. Sorry, the not the tax reduction, the Inflation Reduction Act. Instead of reducing inflation, it basically kept it going. Uh, if you compare that to Donald Trump's presidency, inflation was like, I don't know, 1.5%. And even during the 2020 situation, when it did go up, because it did, months later, it went back down, I think, to like 2%, something like that. And then after that, Biden, Harris increased it to like 9%, and now it's like 3 point something percent. Inflation basically lowers your standards of living, because whatever you could get for $1, now you have to pay $1 and some extra. And so this affects not only day-to-day necessities like food, and you can compare food prices nowadays to food prices during Trump's administration, but you can also include things like the price of housing. There are two things that maintain value. Maintain value is that, as the name says, whatever it's worth, it will always be worth. But when it becomes more expensive, it's not that it's becoming more expensive, it's that due to inflation, now it costs more, right? And these two things are precious metals and houses. That's the reason why you see housing prices go up. But not only that, in addition to the houses, the prices of housing being affected by inflation, now you have to add this other thing, which Harris, as the highest government official in charge of migration, how her open border policies have made it so that now we have a lot of people coming from all sorts of nations, from Africa, from the Middle East, from China, from South America, from Mexico. They are moving to the U.S. And so what does that do? It does a couple of things. One of the things that it does is now we have to put those people in some kind of an apartment complex or whatever. When you do that, you are taking availability, removing availability for those who are actually legal residents or citizens. And so when that happens, now you have scarcity. Scarcity makes the price of housing also go up. It seems we have to house these people. You are effectively doing that. Plus the fact that the owners of these apartment complexes, they know that this money is coming from the government, so they're gonna charge whatever they want to charge, because it's the government. The government doesn't care about how much it pays, because it's not their money, it's your money, the money that you as a legal resident or a citizen are actually paying into the system. So, but then not only that, now you have to add to the housing problem, you have to add with the this migrants, you have to add the fact that now the government is taking funds from what they get in taxes. Normally what they get in taxes they use to pay for different services. Some of those services are social programs. So a lot of those social programs that you would normally benefit from, now they are being given to those people that are not paying into the system. So they are effectively taking from you. And if you are from a state uh, higher, up from Texas or New Mexico or Arizona or California, you probably didn't feel the effect that illegal migration does to the states and the nation as a whole. Because, until Governor Abbott, and thankfully, and I'm actually being honest here, thankfully, when he started redistributing the load from having all these migrants, he started spreading them out into northern states, such as New York, Illinois, Oregon, and among many others. People from those northern states, they didn't know what it was like, and now they understand what it is like. What it is like to having people that, they have different cultures, and not only their culture is different, but also based on the way the economy works in their nations. They have different standards of living. So when they come to the U.S. just like that, they are not gonna behave like what you would expect someone to behave where you're at. That's the reason why in states such as Illinois and New York, they're having all these issues with this Venezuelan migrants and the crime that they're committing. There's this other state, which I don't remember the name. I think it's northeast of Texas. They're having issues where the Venezuelan gangs are actually taking over apartment complexes, and they go out brandishing their rifles. By the way, keep in mind that these are people that are not supposed to have weapons, because they are not legal residents, nor are they citizens. Yet, through crime, they are obtaining these weapons and using them to commit more crime. So they initially committed crime to get these weapons. Now they are committing crime with these weapons. While at the same time, Democrats want to take away your right as a U.S. citizen, rights given to you by the Constitution for self-defense. So they want to take away those rights from you, where criminals will do as they see fit. No, they don't care, And then, as you probably have heard, Ohio is having issues with the Haitians. Because as I said, these people are coming from a place where things are much different to what they are, in the U.S. Actually, in Haiti, things are much different to what they are in most places around the world, And so as I mentioned, you have local governments giving to these people everything that you're paying into, should normally go towards helping people in need, elderly people, veterans, but instead it's going towards these people that didn't pay into the system, just came here because they felt like it, and they didn't do it while Trump was president, because they knew that either they were gonna be sent back to where they originally came from, or if they were lucky to stay, they were just not gonna be giving any assistance, any social program. They were not gonna get driver's licenses, social security numbers, etc., etc. During Trump's days, the problem with illegal migration was about 3 to 4 times lower than what it currently is. And as I mentioned, Harris was appointed in charge of that issue. On top of that, she made it blatantly clear during her speeches, recent speeches, not only at the DNC, but also, the speeches she's made throughout different states, that her main focus is going to be in keeping the war going. Keeping the war going means that more of your money is going to be going to these other nations that have nothing to do with you, further worsening your standards of living. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they even decided to send people to those conflicts. But for now, they are sending your money, be it by straight up sending the money or by purchasing equipment that is later sent to those nations that have nothing to do with you. Whereas during the Trump administration, we didn't have any new wars. We didn't add ourselves to these foreign problems that other people or other nations had. So they were constantly saying that Trump would bring World War III. Well, he never did. But Biden and now Kamala is affirming the fact that yes, they are gonna keep the military-industrial complex that only benefits them because they have, and by them I say politicians, they have, they I forgot the name of this, but basically they pay to have, what do you call these things? When you buy shares from a company, they buy shares. So paying into the military-industrial complex helps them, enriches them. They're looking not for the benefit of these nations, but their own benefit. They're taking your money, spending it in the military-industrial complex, from which they have shares, and in doing so, they are enriching themselves. That's what they want. Where during Trump's days, as I said, there were no new wars. He was actually taking us out of conflicts. He actually got the UAE and Israel to sign peace treaties, got South Korea and North Korea the closest to achieving peace. And during his term, Russia didn't dare to invade any nation, whereas he did it not only during the Biden-Harris administration, but also did it during the Obama administration. And that's because Trump cared about the nation. That's why it's America first. Every nation should think about their nation, and their nation is the people, right? The people, they should care about them first and foremost. It's okay to help out others in need if you can, if your economy is strong enough. But mainly, you're supposed to care about your nation, your people, and that's what Trump did. In addition to that, I know that a lot of people that came to the U.S., they fled socialist or socialist-like places. And in Mexico, they're having issues with socialism, and in a lot of places in South America, they're having issues with socialism, which is why a lot of Venezuelans left Venezuela because of socialism. Now, a lot of Venezuelans that left happen to be criminals, and I mentioned them earlier on this video. And Puerto Ricans such as myself left socialist-like governments that basically ruined the economy of our island, or in the case of Mexico, of their nation. Same thing with Venezuela. So Harris has expressed herself to want to impose economic regulations that are only imposed in socialist regimes. If you have left your nation or territory, in the case of people like myself, Puerto Ricans, why would you vote for someone that is telling you that they're going to impose the same kind of policies that ruin your nation or territory to begin with? Why would you vote for that? By the way, when we talk about the economy, because everything is, as they say, is the economy, stupid. And going back with the whole issue with the migrants, when Trump was president, he intended to build a wall, and he actually started building it. Both the Democrats and the Republicans, they were against it. They voted against it. And the reason was that it would cost about $8 billion to build a wall, which is expensive, I'm not gonna lie. However, when you think about the fact, and you can look this up, the fact that taking care of all of these migrants is costing, on average, per year, roughly $400 billion, billions with a B. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. So, Kamala Harris, during her time, has caused inflation through her own deciding votes. She has also flooded the nation with foreigners that are, in a lot of cases, committing crime, in all cases benefiting from the programs that should be going towards you. And she intends on implementing government policies that have ruined many nations wherever they have been established. Talking about black people, what have Democrats done for you? They have done nothing. All they did for you, and it actually wasn't good, and I will explain how it wasn't good, was affirmative action. Affirmative action was originally implemented to basically help black people, you know, give them an advantage in education and the work environment, so that, you know, they would get better education and be hired. However, none of that, well, the hiring aspect, yes, it has happened. They have gotten hired. But when you hire people due to racial reasons, sex, whatever, you name it, you're not hiring people based on you know, merit, based on what they can bring to that particular company or whatever. No, you're hiring based on these things that don't necessarily make it better. When it comes to the education, when they did the affirmative action, what it did, it lowered the standards of education. So not only black people, but people in general got worse education because of trying to even things out. Much like in Puerto Rico, the people in power have actually kept Puerto Ricans such as myself from being either fully bilingual or at least be at my level. This, by the way, this is all self-taught. That's why I have this accent. But no, they have kept us from being able to learn English, while the elite keep or send their kids to private schools where everything is in English, so that their kids are going to be the elite once they grow up, where everyone else is gonna be under them. We're gonna look up to them, much like black people are meant to look up to the elite for handouts. The social programs are meant to keep you at a certain standard of living where you are dependent on the elite. There's this movie, I forgot the name of it, but it's a Clint Eastwood movie where this female boxer, she becomes wealthy because she becomes successful, and when she does that, she thinks of doing something good for her mom by buying her a house. Instead of the mom actually thanking her for the fact that she now has a house that she doesn't have to pay for, she's angry because now she's not gonna be at this level that the government, the elite, want to keep you at, and because she used to get this social programs, right? So that's what they truly want. They want to keep black people, and in Puerto Rico, Puerto Ricans, they want to keep them at a certain level to where we can't compete with them, and so we need them. And we can't think as individuals. We have to think as well. We need someone big to take care of us. That's not a good thing. So I know that millennials are currently struggling through this Biden-Harris administration. As I said, everything that I have mentioned, you can compare to the 4 years of President Trump, and you can tell me that groceries weren't cheaper, the cost of housing wasn't cheaper, that we didn't have any new wars, that he wasn't concentrating in you being part of the nation. And he was actually, you can't say that he was actually concentrating on people from abroad that have nothing to do with you and their personal and national problems. It's just, if you think about that, you could only come to the conclusion that I have as a Puerto Rican, that the best option is Donald Trump. I actually made this video before the debate that's happening tonight, in the hopes that the people that listen to me will, see that it makes sense. What this Puerto Rican is saying makes sense, and they can share this video and have others be convinced of what I'm saying. Hopefully, black women and Gen Z women will listen to it and also come to the conclusion that I, as a Puerto Rican, as a person of color, even though I know I don't look like a person of color, but yes, I am in fact a Puerto Rican, born and raised, unlike AOC, which doesn't even speak Spanish. I am actually a Puerto Rican. So please listen to me share this video, and thank you for listening.